It finished Spurs 4, West Ham 1, and we were lucky to get one. Let's face it, an utter debacle at White Hart Lane. It was horrendous. So we're going to talk about that. Hello, Chris. How you doing?
Yeah, I've had better days, mate. What can I say? I've had better days, but yeah, I'm all right. Still trying to digest that game today. How about you?
I've got to be honest. I'm in a bit of a reflective mood at the moment because I was watching that game, and as disappointing as it was, afterwards I was just sitting there trying to think, right, where are the positives? Where are the actual positives that are coming from this regime? You know, what can I take from every game that's better than how it used to be? You know, I don't think there's one thing I can put my finger on. I've got to be honest. Can you?
No, I can't. I mean, I think for the first 25 minutes, I thought we looked decent. I'm not going to lie. I thought we were all right, but it just we just capitulated, mate. I think is the best way to put it. We totally capitulated, and I think, frankly speaking, it's just not good enough. You know, it's really not good enough. There's too many. Like, we'll get onto individual performances, you know, individual players and what have you, you know, in due course. But fucking hell, like it can't continue like this, mate. It can't, because I think whenever we come up against a relatively decent team,
Yeah,
we just concede for fun, mate. We just conceding goals too easily. You know, Ipswich. I mean, look, let's be honest. I suppose looking it back now in hindsight, it's probably papering over the cracks a little bit, because as soon as we come up against a team with a bit more of a potent attack, we just fall apart. We can't deal with it, particularly with this shape and this formation that we play that I've been banging on about week after week. It's destroying us, mate. It is at the back. It's absolutely awful.
I found a positive actually. We haven't lost to any crap teams yet. That's about it. That's it. End of story. Right? There is no other positive other than that.
I don't know. Yeah. I mean, we're really scraping the barrel then if we're using that as a positive.
Well,
Do you know what I mean?
exactly. We are. It's desperate. It was just so fucking miserable today. We all had high hopes of it, didn't we? We had high hopes of it. And can you tell Danny to stop trying to come into the studio, because it ain't working, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, we're gonna have Danny on here, who was at the game today, and he's fuming and he wants to come on, and his broadband's playing up, so we get him on after another away game. But yeah, honestly, I sat there. Let's go through the game. Might as well, eh? Might as well. In the first half, let's think back to the first half. When you look at the two banks of five, pretty much, that we had there, it was so Moyes-like. Two banks of five camped out at the edge of our box, flashbacks to Leverkusen, right? That's what that was like. And you might say that's sensible tactics, because that's what Moyes used last year and we won. But then again, we were lucky to win last year. We got battered in the first half, didn't we? Right. So, and to be honest, in watching the first half, Chris, I've kind of retrained myself this year to be grateful for small mercies, you know. So every little highlight or every little upside, I take it as a fucking big win. I don't know why. I'm just conditioned to be that way at the moment. I suppose because, you know, underneath it all, I don't want to see Moyes come back, and I wish the fucker would get another job somewhere else, right? What happened in that first half was the same as David Moyes. It was Moyes' ball through and through. We were getting the ball out to Kudus and Bowen. Antonio was carrying the ball a few times down. He carried the ball a few times down the wing. You know, great centre forward play and all that kind of stuff. Praised by Ali McCoist and the really annoying commentator. And they really rubbed their nose in it in the second half, didn't they? So, but anyway, we'll get to that in a minute. We scored. I mean, on the breakaway, we nearly scored once with Kudus, and then we scored when he very similar move where he hit a ball into the ground, and it luckily loops over the defenders. And that was it for highlights today. That was literally it. Other than that, it was defending for our lives. And I think in the first half, Rodriguez, he stood out as the guy who was clearly, he'd been given a job to do to cover Wan-Bissaka because they were going to overload it down that side, and he was catching the second ball all the time. You know, really good defending. Really good defending. Fuck off, Ronnie, in the chat if you're going to take the piss. Right. So if you're a nice Spurs fan, you can stay. If not, fuck off. Right. So other than that, I think as soon as we took the lead, they were on top. They went on top. All of the early quite secure and safe defending seemed to fall by the wayside as what's his name down the right hand side started taking Emerson to the cleaners. Son was suddenly getting a lot of joy. It was as if they'd stepped it up a gear when they went 1-0 down. And let's be honest, they were lucky to not go in they were unlucky to not go in 2-1 up. They should have had a goal right before half time. Not to mention the fantastic Areola save, which was absolutely world class, shortly followed by Areola, picking the ball up and just putting it out of play. Right, it was just his distribution was terrible.
Yeah.
So he does one world class thing, one terrible thing. I think if you look at the goal when it went in, it was a good break, but it starts with Paqueta again giving the fucking ball away down the other end, completely giving the ball away. What's he still doing in the team? Now, I know I got absolutely taken to the cleaners for daring to suggest that him and Alvarez should be dropped a few weeks ago. I'm still in two minds over Alvarez. I ain't going to stick by that. I don't know. But with Paqueta, been fucking obvious and as a nose on my face that his head has not been in it this year. His head has been elsewhere. And if you'd have read his Twitter feed this week or his Instagram, whatever it was, you realise he's tweeting about his fucking court case. He ain't tweeting about playing Spurs at the weekend. You listen to Mikel Antonio talking before the game. They had to go round the changing room and tell all the foreign players how important this was to the fans, this game. I mean, don't they understand fuck all about West Ham, these players? I mean, what's going on? What is going on? I'm just, what part don't they understand that that Spurs is a big game for us? So they clearly taken absolutely no bloody interest in West Ham. They're just there for a payday, some of them, aren't they? But anyway, let's not let Lopetegui off the hook. He played like David Moyes in the first half. We went in 1-1, right? It was all right. Gary, why is it hard to drop Paqueta? It really isn't. Just drop him. He does fuck all. He's cost us 2 goals today. He's useless at the moment. Yeah, he looks good. Brazilian flair, nice haircut and everything else. He looks really stylish, doesn't he? Fucking hurts us every game, Gary.
Gal, do you know what? On that note, right, with Paqueta, my kind of thoughts on this. I've said this quite a few times. We're all hoping for those moments of brilliance from him because we know that he's got that in his locker. But he's just not delivered, right? And he's got to get to a point now when we say enough is enough. The guy needs to be dropped because his head's just not fucking in the game, right? It's not. Yeah. As much as I love him as a player, he's a super talented, world-class player on his day. But you tell me when was the last time he had one of those days? He hasn't, mate. It's been too fucking long. And I think right now, he has to be dropped. The only, obviously, the conundrum there, of course, is bearing in mind now, Kudus is going to be banned for 3 games. You can kind of potentially look at it as if Paqueta is a shoo-in to get back into or to stay in the team because maybe Somerville goes out wide left and Paqueta stays in the team.
What does Paqueta actually do for that team? Tell me.
Well, exactly. This is my point. And I think right now, irrespective of the fact that Kudus is out and banned for 3 games, fucking bring in Soler, bring in someone else because right now he is offering nothing, absolutely nothing. I'm literally sick and tired of waiting for these fucking great performances from him because they're just not coming. They're not. No. They're just not there. And I'm sorry, right? It's a fucking London derby today. It's a London derby against Spurs. It's not a fucking cup final, just to clarify this, right? But it's an important game. When we play any London derby, it's an important game for us. So we expect all of our players to turn up. And for me, he hasn't turned up today. He hasn't. He was completely anonymous in the first half. Fuck knows how he started the second half because, in my personal opinion, he should have been subbed in, at the end of that first half. Worst case, should have been subbed then, right? And then they should have brought on Somerville. Put on Somerville and put Kudus in the 10 and stick Somerville out wide left. Because he done nothing. He done absolutely nothing. I can't think of a single thing that he did that was relatively good today. Can you? Honestly, one thing. Just pick out one thing for me because I can't remember.
Not a single thing. Not a single thing. He was fucking useless the whole game. It gets worse and worse. And the goal, we're defending deep, but we're defending well, right? We're holding our shape. We're defending well first half, right? It didn't look like we were going to concede particularly. The only way we were going to concede is if we got caught on a counter attack, and it happened courtesy of Paqueta. He's given them the ball. They broke too quickly for our, two covering midfielders in call it a double pivot if you like, whatever, right? In Souček and Rodriguez, the odd couple, to get back, because in that sort of situation, they don't have the legs to get back. It ain't going to work. So we were just exposed, totally exposed. And we got caught completely out of shape. And that shot was always going to happen. Bit of a lucky finish. And again, Areola, I think he gets fingers to it. That's the second goal in a couple of games now that he's let in through his limp wrists. And just don't expect it. Don't expect him. One world-class save, one that perhaps he should have saved. Well, you look at it behind the goal, and it was a tough one. He was unsighted, but he got his hands to it. So even if he was unsighted, he got his hands to it, right?
Well, here's another one for me that was absolutely shit today. Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. He made a couple of saves. I think one in particular that stood out. But aside from that, his passing, his distribution was anonymous. There was nothing there. It was actually embarrassing. Like when I was watching him, he's taking his goal kicks. I can't remember one that actually hit one of our players. Can't.
No.
I honestly cannot. I think there was one pass that went to one of our players in the whole of that game that he might have had. I'd love to know what his pass completion rate was like in that game, because for me, I think I only saw one. It was awful, mate. Absolutely awful. Do you know, there's a big shout and a call from my side, right? And Fred, he was at the game today. He said to me, why don't we just drop him now and stick Fabianski back in goal? And do you know what? I can't disagree with it right now.
I know. Listen, no, I can't either. Fabianski's reliable. We know what we get with Fabianski, right? He won't let in a lot of long shots either. He's good. He's a good shot stopper. Gary, I understand what you're saying, but flair players can have they can have a bit of brilliance, but he won't at the moment, Gary, because his head is elsewhere. His head is not on the pitch with the rest of the team. He seems to be doing the minimum. I don't know what is going on inside his head. Does he know he's guilty? Does he know does he know he's innocent? Does he feel like done by? What is going around in his head? Because wherever it is, if it's one of those two scenarios, and whatever one of those it is, it's going to be fucking with his head, right? Because he could be losing his whole career, and he's tweeting about it in midweek, and yet he's still. So he's actually telling Lopetegui on social media where his head's at. That is what he's thinking about, nothing else.
Yeah.
And yet he starts on Saturday.
This is the thing, right? So I know what Gary, not you, Gary, the other Gary's saying, right? Yes, we are waiting for, and he does have the ability for those moments of brilliance. But tell me when he's done that this season.
He ain't done it since the first half of last season, has he? I mean, he was brilliant first half of last season, world class, borderline. Since then, fuck me, he's been awful.
Yeah.
Right? He's been terrible. Ever since he came back from that injury, wasn't it?
I think this is the thing, right? Because with Paqueta, everyone's looking at the name and we know what kind of a talent he is. Yeah. But there's not been the level of performance that we would expect. So, no, I'm sorry. He has to be dropped. I don't give a fuck if Kudus is out for the next 3 games. Paqueta still should be dropped. I'm sorry.
By the way, don't think all this talk about players is letting Loppy off. We'll fucking come to him in a minute, right? So, Souček, I mean, there was one time in the first half, you must have seen it. It stood out to me like a sore thumb. I know you didn't see it, Chris, but I just looked at it, and it was we were midway through our own half. He had a square ball to play to Rodriguez. Rodriguez was waiting to receive the ball. He's put it 3 yards behind him.
Yeah,
3 yards behind him, a 5-yard pass, and that is what lets Souček down. That inability, that coolness in the situation to get his technique right. And he's clearly just fucking he's mishit it or something, right? How can you do that? How can you do that?
He's a professional football player, mate. I mean, if he can't pass the ball, from 5 yards, and that's a fucking problem. But look, we know that about Souček, right? I mean, we know that he has. Well, he's done that multiple times, many times over the years. So we know what he's effective at, and one of those things is definitely not his passing ability. Yeah. He's not a great passer of the ball, sadly.
Yeah. By the way, hold on, Danny, don't worry about it. We'll get you on next time. Chris will help you sort your stuff out for next time, right?
Yeah, I know Danny's pissed off as well. Danny was at the game today and he was pissed off, so it would have been good to get him on and get his opinion on this as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, what can you say, right? I mean, just going back, right, to the start of the game, in terms of lineup, exactly the same lineup that we had against Ipswich, right or wrong, in your opinion?
Well, the way we played in the first half, Chris, it was right, because me and you said the other night, because we both expected him to play the way he did in the second half, right? We didn't expect him to sit back with 2 banks of 5. So that was suitable to have Rodriguez, and he played really well in the first half, Rodriguez.
Yeah, he did.
But when you start exposing him for pace, like we did in the second half, then you need Alvarez.
Yeah.
You've got to have Alvarez. So yes, he got it right for the way he was going to play first half, but surely he should have changed it before the fucking second half started. Having said that, as Mark Pendleton says here, he's fucking slow as well. Alvarez, he's slow as well, right? Slow as fuck.
He is.
So I'm going to put, soon, I'm just going to put Dodds' minute up. I mean, again, I don't know. I haven't actually watched it yet, but I'm going to just import it and put it up. So we'll be watching it at the same time as each other. So carry on talking for a minute, Chris. I think, what else did you think of the first half? I mean, they towards the end, they should have gone in front, shouldn't they?
Well, look, I want to try and be as objective as I can be.
Yeah.
Almost, not necessarily looking at this through the eyes of a West Ham fan, which is fucking hard because I'm a West Ham fan, of course.
Yeah.
I think when I watched it, for me, the first 20, 25 minutes, I actually thought we were doing a pretty good job, right? Yes, we scored first, probably slightly against the run of play. We could have scored before that, actually, because Kudus had a very similar chance, which, I mean, he hit it nice, but fuck me, went straight through to like middle of the keeper, right? So it wasn't particularly great, good accuracy from his side. So, okay, we get the goal, probably against the run of play. But after we scored that goal, that's when Spurs suddenly started to become better. Okay, they are a lot more proficient. I think attack-wise, they had more opportunities than us. I think they must have had fucking 11 corners in the first half, something ridiculous like that. So you could kind of see the warning signs there because we couldn't contain them for that long, staying the way we were. And yeah, I think so for the first 25, 30 minutes, we looked pretty decent. For the remaining 15 minutes of that first half, that's when it started to go a little bit sideways for me. And I was a little bit concerned. And I remember I messaged you and I said, we kind of need to make some changes here. I thought Paquette was completely out of it. We were carrying him for the first half. He had to come off and I wanted us to bring in Kudus through the middle because, irrespective of the fact Kudus got sent off today, I actually thought he was one of our better players. He was.
Yeah, right? I do too. I thought he played fucking brilliant in the first half. And I thought also Bowen was brilliant as well in the first half. In the defensive work they got through, and Antonio, defensive work he got through in the first half was fantastic for that style of play.
Yeah.
Right.
Because it was classic Moyes, as you say, like the 2 banks of 5 and Mickey dropping deep as well. It was exactly like that, containing the threat and trying to hit him on the counter. And it was working to some degree for the first 20, 25 minutes. It was, right? We went one up. But for some fucking unknown reason, in the second half, we kind of changed a little bit in terms of our shape. So what you would have noticed, and we've not actually spoken about this, but for me, first half, you didn't really see Emerson and Aaron Wan-Bissaka as far forward as they typically are. Okay, they weren't that far forward in the first half.
No.
In the second half, suddenly it became like 2 at the back, and they were quite far forward again. And what happened? Again, the spaces in the fullback areas, they were the fucking gaping holes down there. Do you know what I mean? Every fucking game, we say this week after week, Gary, the same thing happens. Always.
I think Jackie, whatever player you replace Paquette with, will also get blamed and trashed till you realise the manager is taking. We're going to come to the manager, Jackie, but it ain't just the manager, it's the players as well. There's a load of shit going on there at the moment, which could all be rooted back to the manager. Probably is. But anyway, it ain't one thing or the other. It's a nuanced situation we're seeing here, right? And we'll come to the likes of Kudus, for instance, who, again, he played really well, but you can't fucking get yourself sent off like that. That was idiotic. That was like saying, send me off, doing it in front of the cameras twice in someone's face.
But you know
there's a certain amount.
Gary,
something's gone wrong, Chris, in that team. There is no fucking discipline. So what's happened? What's happened? Is it the captaincy? Is it the manager? Because what happened when that, I know we're fast forwarding here to the second half, but when Kudus was doing all that shoving and everything, where was Bowen?
Yeah. Oh, it's true. It's so true.
Where was Bowen when the referee was talking to Kudus? Where is Bowen?
Yeah. No, look, I mean, this is the thing, right? Because true captains, they get involved in that, right? They stop it. They stop it. They speak to the referee because they're the only ones that can.
Yeah. They tell fucking Kudus, behave yourself. Behave yourself. You're going to get yourself sent off, right? Yeah. And Alvarez at Liverpool, stop it. You're going to get yourself sent off. No one says a fucking word to him.
No, it's true. It's true. I mean, it does. But, I mean, we're kind of similar in the respect that we don't like digging out players too much. We don't,
especially Bowen. But
especially Bowen. But I think in general we don't tend to like doing that, right? But I think it does get to a point in time when you see a performance like that you can't. You kind of have to say it right as it is. And I must admit, so we've already called out Paqueta, we've called out fucking Areola. I think with Bowen, good first half, but I do still question him being a captain. I can't help it. I was glad initially when he was captain because I thought, you know what, he's been at West Ham. Maybe he'll be a different type of captain for us. We know he's not an overly vocal leader, right? He's never been an overly vocal player, let alone a leader.
He's not.
But I think
we watch him. We watch him. We can see he never
I know.
fucking says boo to a goose, right?
Well, this is the thing, and I think we can blame Lopetegui a whole heap for this. Of course, we can because
we will in a minute. Yeah,
he's the manager. But I also think that when you're a captain of West Ham United, you need to be out there and you need to be fucking organising those players as well. You have to be doing that. And for me, I don't see Bowen having that authority, being vocal to the other players and telling them also what they should be doing on the pitch. I mean, yeah, they should know what they're doing, but he's not fucking leading those players, in my opinion. I don't think he's the right captain, mate.
Can I just say, it is a bit unfair to dig Bowen out because Bowen didn't give himself the captaincy, right? It's not his fault that he ain't the right man. He ain't the right man to lead that team because in position alone, he's right up the fucking pitch on the right-hand side. How's he going to impact what's going on in midfield, in the centre, or at the back, right? Yeah. It's just not right, is it? It's just not right.
Look, just to clarify that point, Gary, I love Bowen. Yeah. Absolutely love him, right?
Yeah,
I idolise him. He's a fantastic player.
I don't
think he's a great captain. That's from what I see so far. I just don't think he is.
It's not that he's not a great captain. He just ain't a captain, I don't think. So, I was in denial. So Tony says, nice show. What the fuck is going on at the club? Where's the coaching? Coaching on tactics, mentality, skill. It's gone to shit, sloppy out. Well, look, we're going to come on to Loppy now, right? Because all right, first off, I'll say Loppy, you kind of got that right in that you played the similar tactics to Moyes last year. It worked. You tried it this year. We're 1-1. We're still in the game. We haven't really been carved open by Spurs too many times. So there's an opportunity to take something from this. But I did not fucking expect from the kickoff in the second half for us to start surging up the pitch and leaving two players back, leaving ourselves open to a counter-attack and exactly the same shit we warned you all about last Saturday. The big void on the left-hand side. Because one of those goals, I don't know if you saw it because another one came from Paqueta, didn't it? But one of those goals was the carbon copy of what I described last Saturday. And that was a ball out from defence, past Bowen to a winger standing on his own with the whole field to run into, right? It was infuriating to see that. If we can see it, and I got that from someone else. So if we can see it, why the fuck can't Loppy see it, right? What is Aaron Wan-Bissaka, who was really, really good in the first half? You said the other night, actually, I want to see us play a solid back four. I want Wan-Bissaka playing in his position to protect us against Son. You were bang on, right? Because you saw one with and one without stay, didn't you? The second half, from the off, he's fucking straight up the pitch. Aaron Wan-Bissaka is playing halfway between the halfway line and the 18-yard box in the offensive part of the pitch, up front pretty much, leaving just to Debo and Kilman against fast, tricky players, which they're never going to do too much with, to be honest. They ain't, they're centre halves, right?
You kind of wonder, Gal, right? You kind of wonder what's going through Lopetegui's head because, as you said, first half we containing a threat there or thereabouts, right?
Yeah.
We were looking pretty solid at the back to an extent because we had two banks of five. It was classical David Moyes.
Difficult to break down, yeah.
So what happens at half time when Lopetegui says, you know what, I'm going to do what I've done and revert to type and play the two centre backs again and our two fucking fullbacks moving further forward? Did he not think, add to your point, right? Every game this season, when we've been doing that, we have been conceding goals. Every game, okay? Not just, this is not an isolated thing. It's every game we do this. So why is he not thinking to himself, that don't work? Why is it suddenly going to work against a better team? That's the thing. It's not going to work. It doesn't. It's clearly not fucking working. We've got to stop playing this stupid bollocks of our fullbacks too far up. It doesn't work. It just doesn't fucking work.
Yeah, I honestly...
It's driving me nuts, Gal. I say every week.
Chris, this is worrying.
Sorry, but every week we say the same thing, right? Every pre-match fucking, pre-match review we do.
Yeah.
We say the same thing about our fullbacks. Let's have a nice flat back four. Let's have a little bit of fucking solidity in there. But every week the same thing happens again and again and again. It's like it's literally rinse and repeat every single bloody week, right? He's got to do that. He has to do it. It's so fucking obvious. You don't even have to be a football genius or a tactician to know that. You can see it. It's happening week after week.
Listen, I don't know what he did in the second half or what he was thinking, because is he a fucking loon or what? I mean, to throw everybody up the pitch so recklessly against a team who want you to play in that way so they can hit you on the counter attack. Again, we said it the other night, right? It was playing into their hands. We might as well have just fucking given them the game and walked off the pitch, because that's pretty much what we've done in practice, right? We let one goal in. He immediately gets 3 players up on the bench, gets them warmed up. He doesn't bring them on until we're 3-1 down, right? 3-1 down, shortly followed by 4-1, right? All of those goals preventable. 8 minutes, 8 fucking minutes. They wouldn't have scored one of them if we'd have kept the formation that we had in the first half, right? And that is not to praise the Moyes tactics, but if it works in a game like this away from home, it works. I don't care, right? He saw that it was working, or did he? Or did he see it was working? Or did he think, oh, I know what this needs? What?
The fact he can't recognise that is worrying, because...
Well, the fact he can't recognise it after letting in 1 goal and then letting in another 2 the same way, pretty much. You know, before, you know, we got, before, well, let's face it should have been 5. Son at the post, should have been 5. Could have been 6 or 7 if they carried on going for us. Thank God they had a fucking rest, because they, honestly, that could have been double figures today, because there's no way he was changing the way we played. Even when he brought the new players onto the pitch, he kept us playing the same way. You're thinking, what the fuck are you doing? I started to think, is there something wrong with you upstairs to do that, right? To actually think, after seeing that first half, and you've seen how horribly fucking wrong it's gone in the second half, you're going to change, you're going to keep it the same way. You're going to keep it. You replaced a couple of parts, a couple of pieces, but you keep the formation the same, and you keep on pushing up the pitch. I mean, thank you, Postecoglou, for not fucking slaughtering us today, because, you know, he done us a little favour there, because we deserved it. We deserved it.
Well, Spurs took their foot off the gas, mate. They could have easily destroyed us by even more than that, you know. I think 4-1 flatters us, mate, to be honest with you. It does.
Yeah. I know. Week in, week out, Gary, you pick the team, right, based on who's available. Yeah, exactly. You should. So Paqueta should not be in the team, right? He should not be in the team. You know, for a game like today, it has to be Alvarez, doesn't it? It has to be Alvarez. I don't know. It depends what style you play. In fact, I don't think we go toe-to-toe with Spurs. I don't think we're good enough.
Now,
I think they're better at that counter-attacking game than we are. So I think the sitting back and fucking soaking up might be a better tactic against them.
But you know what, though? I mean, I do think Alvarez should have started over Rodriguez for the reasons we said the other day, because he's got a bit more about him in the middle of the park. I mean, yes, he doesn't have the range of passing as Rodriguez. I know Rodriguez did well for the first 25, 30 minutes. He's probably one of our best players in the first half. Yes, he was. But in terms of what would help the team more, I personally think would have been that flat back 4. Okay, maybe playing Alvarez as a holding midfielder on his own, and then have the other 2 a little bit further ahead of him, so we can start fucking attacking teams. That's what we need to do. But it just, I don't really get. There's so many fucking things I don't get. I could honestly, I don't even know how you can dissect all of this shit right now, Gal. It's just, there's too many things going on here, isn't there? There's too many things going on with the club.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I love Mo Kudus, you know I do, but that's got to get him fined a week's wages, surely 2 weeks' wages, because he's now, believe it or not, he can't play for us until after the next international break. We ain't going to see him again until the end of November.
Yeah.
Right? That is what he did. He's got himself a lovely little rest. And to be honest, he thoroughly deserves to get sent off, even though at the time I was fucking and blinding at the telly, because the commentator was pretty much insisting that he got sent off. You know, what is the referee doing? Just giving him a yellow card. Go and look at the VAR. And when he did it, he said, "Oh well, you know, at least we got it right." And it was, look, in reality, in reality, it's just another way that football's been ruined, that you can just push someone in the face or give them a little slap in the face and they go down. You had 2 big, massive players holding their face, writhing in agony. He's all he's done is pushed them in the face. Come on, let's. But you're not allowed to do it. You're not allowed to raise your hands to someone's face, as if at the act of actually raising your hands is hurting someone. It's not.
Gary, irrespective of what you're saying, and I'd agree with you. I mean, fucking man up a little bit. But the rules are the rules, right? Players know they cannot do that.
Yeah, they do. He did it twice. He did it twice.
Exactly.
Yeah,
he's done it twice.
And he had a kick as well. It was like he was trying to make sure he was getting himself sent off. You know what I mean? And I don't know whether he lost his head or not. But if he did lose his head, other Premier League managers and teams are going to be watching that, and they'll be trying that out on him next time he plays. They'll be proper trying to wind him up.
But do you know what?
I don't believe that is the real Kudus. Right?
No, it's not, mate. So I don't agree with you in that respect by saying, oh, they're going to be targeting him now because he's I don't know.
No, I don't either. I'm just saying that ain't him. That ain't him. Of course it ain't. No. So why did he do it?
Well, do you know what? Going back to what we said, Kudus is probably our best player today. Based on the amount of minutes he was on the pitch, he was probably our best player. And I think genuinely that was born out of sheer fucking frustration with the way that we were probably playing. If I'm being honest with you. And so there's part of me thinking, do you know what? It's good to see that he's got heart and he fucking cares, albeit stupidity for slapping 2 players around the face. Yes. But I do think to myself, do you know what? Sometimes in these derbies, you want to see a bit of fucking bite. And he had it, right? He had that. It was stupid for him to do that. So I'm not going to properly tear into him. It was stupid for him to do that. But for me, he showed more passion and desire than so many more of those players on the pitch today for West Ham. He did.
I agree with that. I agree. I do. Got red for hands in Sar's face. Yeah, but Gary, it was just hands in the face. You know what I mean? In the 70s, the referee would have laughed it off, and the other player would have gone down holding his face, would he? I mean, it wasn't a right-hander, was it? It was just fucking, it's like kids, isn't it? In a playground. Yeah, he was down holding his face as well. He was fucking idiot. Yeah, I know. Sorry, I'm swearing a lot tonight. Don't think Will Prowse would have made a difference. The club is a shambles. There's no doubt. Yeah, I don't think Will Prowse would have made much of a difference either, to be honest. I don't understand why Kudus did it. Well, I understand why he did it. He got the right fucking ump. And this takes me back to when you look at, I think I said it was a Chelsea game where Alvarez was awful. It struck me that when they came out, the players in the first half against Chelsea, that the players didn't believe in the tactics and they weren't really pulling together and giving it their all. And I think that is what happened in the second half.
Yeah,
the players didn't believe in the tactics, and Kudus, who had a great first half and scored a goal and could looking like he might be the hero again, ends up just being fucking manhandled in the middle of the pitch. He lost his rag.
So you can
I'll forgive him.
It. You can kind of understand
it. I'll forgive him. Look, it was in a way unforgivable. He's got to have a 2 weeks' wages, but at the same time, it's Kudus, right? It's Kudus. I love him.
Put it this way, Gal. Right? He's one of our attacking players, one of our flair attacking players. So it's not necessarily his responsibility. Well, to some extent, in terms of defending. Okay, so when he's out there on the pitch and he's trying to attack, he's trying to fucking win the game for West Ham, and then he sees Lopetegui's like, do you know what? Let's revert back to type and get our fullbacks further forward and leave big gaping holes around the back. As an attacking player, I would be fuming because I'm thinking, are we trying to win this game here? Or are we just literally opening up the floodgates to fucking concede goals? And I'm sure these players must be thinking that because look, they're on the pitch. They must be seeing those holes at the back, but they're only being told, they're doing what they're told to do by Lopetegui, right? That's not Wan-Bissaka's game. We know that's not his game. He never did that for United. He's doing that for us because Lopetegui is telling him to do that. Surely if you're a West Ham player and you're looking behind you and you're seeing your defenders further up the pitch or literally right up in the attacking thirds, you've got to be thinking to yourself, what the fuck's going on here? And I'm sure Kudus is probably thinking that. Honestly, I am. I've no doubts about it.
Do you I don't think it was a biased or corrupt referee performance. In fact, the ref didn't even send Kudus off until he checked VAR, right? Did you notice the fans leaving early? Yeah, but so what? I think I would have been tempted to do that as well. I mean, we literally collapsed. It was 4-1. We weren't getting anything out of that game from 4-1. 8 minutes into the second half, I think I'd have been. Yeah, it's a shithole to get home from Spurs. It actually, but especially when all the crowd fall out and the police force you around the other direction to the train station, you have to queue up with a load of Spurs fans to get on the train. Fuck that.
So, just on that note, Gal. So my boy Fred, he stayed to the last kick. Don't know why, because I probably would have been like you, I would have left, but he stayed to the last kick. And he's with his mate today, Tom. I don't know if he's going to watch it, but it's his birthday today, bless him. Yeah. So what a nice birthday present that was for him. Turning up for that shit show.
No, I agree with you. But it's an horrible thing, but get used to it. Support West Ham. We'll just sack the manager Monday. We'll come to that. Right. He was the only one showing fight. Yeah. I think he was, which is why I'm not going to beat him up. I agree. I'd like Potts back. I don't know who said it, but yeah, Potts is doing really well. We all thought he'd do well. He's the star of QPR. He's QPR, isn't it?
And he scored. He scored. No, he scored against QPR today.
Against QPR. Yeah. And he's looking really good. And we kind of assumed he would be good after he dominated. He got Player of the Year with Wickham and looked really good in pre-season. But once again, this is one of the reasons we wanted a new manager, was to play some of the brilliant youngsters that we've got, and they've all fucked off on loan, pretty much. So again, you're sort of thinking, yeah, rubbish, Mandy, absolutely rubbish. Paqueta's got to be dropped. But I don't think the manager has the guts to do it. He don't want to upset his star man. He wants to show support for him while he's going through all this shit as if it's going to win him some kind of loyalty competition. There is no loyalty in football. He needs to get over it. He's starting week in, week out in a championship. Honestly, the fact that we sold Flynn Downs, we sold Potts, and we bought Rodriguez and Soler, you're sort of thinking, what the fuck was that about?
Yeah.
You know, why did we do that? Why did we do that?
I think, I mean, Potts out on loan, yeah, so he'll come back. He'll come back and he'll come back a better player as well, playing in the champ, right?
Yeah, but he won't get in the team. Lopetegui's here, you know what I mean? It's just, you know, Lopetegui is not going to play young players, is he? Exactly the same as David Moyes. He's not going to even try him. Even if he was desperate and he was down to his, you know, he was like the fifth choice, he wouldn't gamble on a youngster. Now, what does Irving get? Every now and then, a meaningless 5 minutes at the end of a game, and he's not even a youngster, he's 23, right? I thought we looked frustrated with how we were playing, but also with Kavanagh repeatedly letting Spurs players phone him. Yeah. Well, there is that, Andy. Yeah, you're right. And he is a target for opposition, but that doesn't change. He's a target in every single game, right? And he should be, you know, part of the first half, you remember when Bowen refused to go down? He was staying up, you know, even then when they were hacking at him, he was staying up. And I thought, that's really good. He's not just going down. But then I thought, well, why should you do that? Just go down, take the free kick, right?
Other teams do it.
Sometimes we're a bit too fucking goody two shoes for our own liking, aren't we? Right. Emerson was lost on 2 of their 3 goals. Yeah, he was, and also AWB. But again, like Chris says, it's the tactics, isn't it? Yeah, I think when you look at a few notes that Ross sent me, I watched with my son Ross earlier, and he said, saying he put on Reddit, is in a group on there. We can see 8 goals, 3 goals in 8 minutes, nearly 8 goals, including an own goal. Spurs take their foot off the gas, demonstrating that even they know the game's over with 30 minutes to go. The fans start leaving because they know it's game over. We got a weirdly long zoom in on our end of the thing to show the fans leaving, as if the producer was taking a lot of pleasure in it. They cut back to it like 3 times. I've never seen that before in a live broadcast. Mo Kudus got sent off for palm striking everyone within 10 yards of him, banned for 3 games after being our main threat for 2 games. Then right on cue, we get the commentators' grand pre-prepared careful what you wish for speech that they're now have been reserved for every time we lose a game. Funny how Moyes never gets mentioned when we win. Note how we always wait until it's right at the end of the game before so the speech can't blow up in their face. Next up, a close-up of Alan Sugar's sneery face having the time of his life, followed by a nice long close-up of Karen Brady. I feel like the producer is really trying to wind us up at this point. I actually started to believe that Moyes himself was a producer in the TV studio, going through the list of how West Ham had to ruin West Ham fans' weekends. And then we get Spurs fans laughing at us for wanting Moyes out, despite him doing well for us. Because we wanted a better style of play, ignoring the irony that they wanted Antonio Conte out when they were set in 3rd for almost the very same reason, and are now much happier under their new playing style, proving that it's a perfectly valid viewpoint and possible if your owner is willing to take on the risk of a modern manager.
Yeah, all true, mate. All true. Yeah, I can't deny any of that stuff. He's bang on, isn't he? Absolutely bang on.
Yeah, we've been fucking, you know, it is Sullivan, right? We've been cowardly in our recruitment. What we've tried to do here is, you know, he's you know, I think it was Sullivan who inflicted Guillaume Balaguer on West Ham Network, I think it was, and also all over the media to tell West Ham fans to shut the fuck up. We didn't know what we were talking about, and he's brilliant. He's the best manager you're ever going to have. You're fucking lucky to have him. Basically what he said, right? And now Guillaume Balaguer is taken to tweeting out and saying and locking off the responses to a tweet so nobody can criticize him, right? This guy's a complete arsehole, and he is the publicity arm of Julian Lopetegui. Whenever he's having a hard time, out rolls Guillaume Balaguer, transmitting the same garbage that he has always transmitted, right? You know, I'm starting to think, I did say I'll wait 10 games, right? Going back to the point at Hammer 89, would I sack him on Monday? I said 10 games. I think 10 games is fair. That's 8 games, right? 8 games. Next two games at home to Man United, who won today. and then away to Forest. I don't personally see us getting anything from those 2 games. So I think you're going to have my answer in 2 games' time. I need to see a dramatic improvement in both of those games because today just worried me. I started to worry about the manager's mental stability, right? I started to worry if he's actually fucking bothering to watch the game, if he's actually seeing what's happening out on the pitch, because I don't think he is. I think he's just, in a way, as bad as Moyes, in that this is my model and I'm going to fucking play that model no matter how it blows up in my face. It's a different model. So in the first half, he plays Moyes ball. The second half, he plays his model again, which has been unpicked by every good team we've played against, right? Chelsea, Villa, City, and now Spurs. And it will be unpicked by Arsenal, embarrassingly so. And
well, mate, I'll tell you what, Liverpool,
right?
We've got United next week. We've got United, right?
Yeah, an average United, yeah.
Yeah, well, an average United, but if we play the same way that we have been playing pretty much every game this season with our fucking inverted highline fullbacks, whatever you want to fucking call them,
we'll get beat.
Well, you've got Garnacho, you've got the likes of Rashford, they're going to fucking have a field day, mate. You know, this is the thing. Doesn't matter. If Man United are weak in other areas, every team's going to exploit that. But like they have been doing so far this season, it's a joke. You know, going back to poor performances, you know, and I want to call it Areola again because also one of the goals, I think it was Sonny's goal that he scored against us.
Yeah,
I know that. I mean, to be fair to Devo, didn't know which way he was going, right? And I think he did about 3 or 4 step overs before he slotted that in. But for me, I still find it criminal that goalkeepers being beaten at their near post, right? Again, he's being at his near post. That's not the first time, Gal. You know, this has happened on quite a few occasions this season. You know, for me, it's a real concern actually with him. Don't get me wrong, he does pull off every now and again. He pulls off an absolute worldie, right? He does, but then he also is conceding goals that he shouldn't be saving. I'm sorry, he should be. So I really want him out the team now, and I can't believe it, but I want fucking 39-year-old Fabianski back in the squad. I do, because we used to moan about Fabianski's distribution, right? Can't get any worse than fucking Areola after today's performance. It can't. I'd have Fabianski back in that squad right now because Areola looks fucking shit. He does.
On this, right? What Babelman 1 said, Loppy's press conference shows he doesn't really understand anything, just waffles a lot of dross. Yeah, he does. He talks in poorly delivered English cliches. We must do better. We must regroup. We must get back to the training pitch. This is unacceptable. Blah, blah, blah. It's all fucking bullshit. It's all the same stuff, right? I sort of said at the beginning of the season how honest he was, but it ain't really honesty. He ain't giving any detail away. He's
stating the obvious. We must do better. No shit.
No shit. We must do better. Spurs, you know what I mean? Yeah. I suppose it's better than coming out and saying, well, Spurs are a great side. What do you expect? Which is pretty much what David Moyes said, right? Well, he said
I don't even watch his post interviews anymore because I don't see the point. He's saying the same shit week in, week out, and it's just the same fucking rhetorical bullshit we hear every week. So what's the point?
Roger Cook, whenever Loppy asks the question, he screws his face up and his Spanish mate translates it. He can't speak or understand English. You know what? I think that's a little trick they use sometimes, Rog. That is to buy him a bit of time while they think about the answer. Yeah, his confidence outweighs his ability. I am starting to think that again. I expected to see a distinct pattern, a distinct style of play. I expected by now to see some things I could pick out that I thought, oh, that's better than it was. Look at what he's brought to the team. He's brought this, and this, right? I can't actually put my finger on one thing that he's actually brought to the team in terms of tactics and playing style that I really enjoy, or any significant improvements. It isn't an increased organisation. We're not seeing the watertight Seville-style defence who hardly let any goals in. We're seeing a fucking, a defence made up largely of 2 men standing in the middle a lot of the time. With nobody on the wings and no defensive cover in the middle.
Gary, it's so disjointed, our team right now.
Yeah.
So disjointed. And, if I use kind of fucking FIFA terms here, there seems to be zero chemistry in that 11 that we put out on the pitch, right?
I agree.
It's so disheartening to see this with the squad of players that we have. Of course, I know that we're, maybe a bit light up front with Antonio. I get that. But with all of those attacking threats that we've got behind him, okay, and not even that, we've got good defenders. We've got a good squad of players here, mate, right? It's arguably one of our better squads we've had in many, many years.
It's criminal.
This is disheartening to see this.
I know.
It is so bad, honestly.
It's woeful. It's woeful that that we've gone out and signed all those players. And I mean, look, even the likes of Guilherme, who we really enjoyed seeing in his little cameo at the end of the Ipswich game. Look, he won't get another fucking kick because again, he's just a kid that he's not going to take a gamble on. Clearly, not his decision to bring him in. Listen, if Lopetegui was sacked on Monday, would I complain about it? No, I'd say that's fine. I understand why, right? So I completely understand him getting sacked now because I think it's ridiculous. I think what he's done so far is fucking awful. And we have one little light moment, right, against or two maybe, one against Palace, one against Ipswich. Two teams who are just getting beaten a lot. It's hardly anything to be writing home about, is it? Well, any team that's half decent, we've either struggled or got stuffed by.
Gary, if you put it into perspective, right? We've had one good half against Man City. We've had one good half against Crystal Palace, and we've had, I don't know, can we say 90 minutes? He's probably been kind against Ipswich Town. That is it. That is all we've had to think about this season. Nothing else.
I know. We're 8 games in. Plus, as someone tried to convince me earlier, we've played 2 cup games. I'm not counting those. 10 league games. There's only 2 to go.
I'm counting them. I'm counting the cup game because I was up there watching 5-1 Liverpool smashes 5-1. I'm going to count that as well. Because
again, you're entitled to count them now. I went to the Bournemouth game now, so I should be on 9. Really, I should be on 9. That was shit as well. Right? You know, why can't Areola kick the ball? I don't know. He can't catch the ball either, but he can save long shots occasionally when his wrists don't let him down. Mandy, we have no identity. We don't. Yeah. We don't. I can't actually describe. I still don't know what our best team is and how that team plays. Can you?
Well, Gal, put it this way.
I know some of its flaws. Yeah,
Gary, our opinions every week when we do the pre-match stuff, it's never come to fruition. Not once this season. Not saying that we're right, by the way, but I think we have an idea of what we feel would work or what would be good. We've not seen that once, so we can't say we don't know. The truth is, if those lineups that we wanted to have actually came to fruition, and it wasn't working, then we can say, right, we don't know what our bet. But actually, in my opinion, I honestly think there is a way that we can play where we will win games and we will play better football, but we're just not doing it.
Yeah, but the thing is, Chris, if you're going to pick, it's one thing picking the right team, making the right selection, but it's quite another thing picking the tactics to go with that selection, right? And I don't think whoever we pick will make a fucking difference at the moment because the tactics are shit.
Well, yeah, of course, because of the fundamental thing we keep saying every week about. Honestly, I think it's the fullbacks and the midfield is just completely slow. Everyone's running in fucking treacle in midfield, and our fullbacks are too fucking hard to pitch. Those are the obvious areas that we point out every week, mate. Every single week we point it out. So it's not like we don't know. We do know, and I think collectively the large consensus of West Ham fans see it week in, week out. Just for some bizarre reason, Lopetegui doesn't see it. That's it.
Yeah. I mean, look, Sullivan ain't going to want to be wrong over Lopetegui. It is his man, even though Sullivan is distancing himself from him. Because of course he is. You know what I mean? We all know it was Sullivan's fucking choice. We know that. Because we also know that Lopetegui's good at interviews as well. So he probably told Sullivan everything he wanted to hear. You know, when Amram came in and told him he had to spend all this money to build a decent team that would be the Amram team. Sullivan shit himself and he thought, oh, there's a cheap option. Didn't turn out to be that cheap when you consider the amount we spent on money. You know, I wonder how much more Amarin's expectations would have cost. Probably not very much. But this,
question for you, okay? Question for you on that point.
Yeah.
Because we've spent a lot of money. We've given Lopetegui a lot of resources there that he can go out and buy players. So why the fuck do we never ever shell out on a good manager? Why don't we do that? It makes no fucking sense.
Because Sullivan does not think that spending on a manager is a good. A manager is not someone you can resell. You're not buying an asset that you can resell, Chris. So that is why. That's the only thing I can think of is why he doesn't believe in investing in a manager.
How long has he been in there? He's been in for like fucking 15 years or whatever it is, Sullivan. Maybe more, 16. I can't remember. How has he not realised in 16 fucking years that actually, do you know what? One of the most important things is to get the right fucking manager who's coaching. Why has he not figured that out yet? Why?
Chris, people like that never admit they're wrong. They always think they're right. They're narcissists, right?
I get it. But surely
they don't learn. They never admit it. They never say sorry. They never learn. They never admit it. They always blame someone else. Like if this goes wrong, which it almost invariably will. he will blame it on the fans who demanded a different style of football.
Yeah,
well, yeah, we did, and you gave us this shit.
We didn't want him, though.
We didn't ask for this, did we? Did we, Dave? Didn't ask for this.
Nah.
This was your fucking choice, you little melt. Anyway,
it's true. It's true. I don't know any West Ham fan that wanted Lopetegui.
Not one.
Not one. Yeah,
we'll warm to it because he's the manager now. Let's try and make him welcome and hope he does well. Please do well. We don't want to change another fucking manager. And you know what I mean? It's just like this is boring now. This is boring. This constant fucking cycle of new manager. Who's it going to be? They're rumouring Potter again. I don't know. Will that work? I don't know. We've got a load of big egos just like Chelsea. He failed miserably over there. Will he be any good for us? Will he be even better than Lopetegui? I just don't know.
Do you know
Probably
what?
not.
In the chat just now, I noticed someone put down about Thomas Frank, right? I think he'd be a great manager for West Ham.
Fantastic. You know what? I would have him in a heartbeat.
Well, I would as well. But here's the thing, right? He's managing Brentford, and with all due respect, Brentford are not the size. They're not a bigger club as West Ham are. It's a fact. Okay. So do you honestly think that Thomas Frank would turn down West Ham if he was given the opportunity? Why would we not shell out for someone like him to come in and manage the club? It's madness, absolute madness. But instead, we'll go and spend out, and this is no dig at, I'm just using this as an example, we'll shell out 25 million on an unproven Brazilian kid in Guilherme, but we won't spend a decent chunk of money on a manager that can make an absolute, a huge difference on our team.
What Roger says here, Potter, I don't know if he'd be better or not. I don't know. I'm undecided on Potter. But to be honest, if it goes and Potter comes in, I'll throw me weight behind Potter and hope he does well, right? That's how I work. Silva would be a definite success. A massive upgrade on what we've got. I mean, it's 100% better, right? It's mouth-watering, as would Thomas Frank. Thomas Frank... the guy's so intelligent and so organised. He would just get it right
managers
under
control.
Style.
They've got an identity in terms of the way they play football. Marco Silva, Thomas Frank. They've got but Lopetegui, it's almost like doesn't even fucking know. He hasn't got a clue.
James, I've got to correct you here. Sullivan is part of the problem. No, he ain't. He is the fucking problem, right? He is the problem. A little Russian hat wearing problem that he is. Fuck's sake. Right. Anyway. Sorry, it was a well said, Chris. I took it off screen because you don't get him very often. Well said, Chris.
Oh, cheers. I don't know what it was I said, but
the most important thing is a manager. Yes, it is absolutely, and we all know that. But our glorious owner decides that spending money on a manager because it ain't a striker where you can pay a load of money, even though they've signed 50 odd strikers and only about 2 of them have been any good. You can pay a lot of money for a striker, and if it comes off, you make more money, right? You make a massive return. That's what he looks at. He looks at asset appreciation, right? He looks at a manager as a depreciating asset, right? It's mad. I mean, what would have happened with Amorim probably is he would have come in with us, spent 2 years, done fantastically well. He would have been on like a 5-year contract, and someone would have had to pay us a load of money to get him off us. So he would have been an appreciating asset. Dave, you fucked up there, mate. 27 million on a 31-year-old German. I blame Tim entirely for that because it's got Tim all over it. He signed him once before. He thought it was a dead cert. It's going to go down as one of the worst. If it carries on like this, it's going to go down as one of the worst signings West Ham have ever made, bar none.
Well, let's just hope it doesn't, mate. Let's just hope it doesn't.
I mean, we all hope it comes good. But we're getting this thing now, this situation with him where we're getting no true updates. We do not know the situation. And this has got a familiar feeling about it from players gone past where you think, is he fit? Where is he? What's he doing? Well, and you never hear an accurate update and they're never on the bench and you never hear from him again, right? There's something.
When Dean Ashton was come back from injury, yet he kept getting niggles.
Exactly that. Yeah. That's exactly what I was thinking of, actually. He ain't that good at interviews on the telly, Gary. He comes across like a big cover teacher in a quantum physics lesson. Yeah. I know. Sullivan wouldn't be able to control a good manager. I don't think he controls a manager anyway. I think he gets Tim to do that, right? That's what should be the model, but clearly isn't, right? He never paid for a manager. No, he hasn't. He has literally never paid for a manager, right? All he does is bring a manager in and then get the manager to work with his agents to make investments through, in all the players he wants. I wonder why that is. Sullivan trying to save money. Yeah, always. But only, saving money on crucial parts of the jigsaw. And the manager is the number one most important part. More important than a striker, more important than a great defender. if you haven't got a manager to organise and bring all those parts together, what's the fucking point?
Do you know what it's like, Gal? It's like the analogy of, I don't know, buying a Ferrari because we've got Ferrari-esque players at the club
Yeah,
and sticking a fucking learner in the car. You know, that's
it
what it's
is.
like, West
It
Ham.
is. And he's all they're doing is driving that Ferrari repeatedly into the supermarket wall, right?
Yeah.
Just reverse, smash it into the wall. Sullivan always lets things bubble up like a volcano because he loves a bit of infighting. He'd love us to start blaming Tim, for instance, right? Take the attention away from him. It's what he likes about Moyes. He loved having Moyes around because he took all the heat from him, right? Gary, we have no identity, organisation, quick, intelligent striker. How can you say that? No midfield, no total commitment, and a narcissistic owner who won't listen. We're in trouble. Great debate, chats. Yeah, thank you, BJJ. But I think you're right in all that. Yeah, absolutely. The only game that's been any good all year was Leverkusen at home, which was amazing, right? And that was again when Moyes bit the bullet and actually decided to go for it. Weren't they great? We could do it. We could have done it. Sullivan is a gimp. Well, yeah, I think he is. I think you're right. Yeah, absolutely. I'm not going to disagree with you. Kevin Saunders wish Sullivan sells. He's not. Well, look, we've been wishing his sell from the moment he fucking arrived. You know, because just don't like the bloke. And Brady, good God. And the concession scheme, good God, what are you doing? I mean, they've just fucked over the fans from day one. They really have. A trophy somehow happened a few years ago, and that's something we've now got to be eternally grateful for and lose any benefit we've ever had as a season ticket holder, for instance, right? Any benefit you ever had. I think I might get into the, I'm 55 now. I reckon, but if I ever make it to 77 and I've still got a season ticket, I think I might qualify for OAP pricing right at the top of the fucking main stand, as far back as I can go. You have to get some stair lift, some massive stair lift to get all the OAPs up the back there. Steve Tiley, been a fan 53 years. Smells like past seasons when we've been up against relegation. Yeah, it does a little bit. The only thing I say is there is some real shit down there, Steve. I think there's at least 3 really shit teams. And in seasons gone past, right, I don't think it will happen this year. I think if the Carriers are going to go in this route, the model of the director of football and the coach should mean it's quite cheap to fire him and his backroom staff and bring someone else in. We hope, if that's the contract he's got, like performance related. So I expect him to act. I don't expect him to come out with this mantra of, he's signed a 2-year deal, so we're going to keep him for 2 years, because that's the usual, isn't it? You just keep him because you don't want to pay the fee to get rid of them. But if the contract is the way it should be, you shouldn't have to pay up their entire contract because the performance has been shit, right? Yeah. But then again, what is the performance? The minimum acceptable performance? Is it being in the bottom 3? Is it top half? What is it? Because I've been convinced in a lot of seasons gone past that really our only objective, I still firmly believe this now, is to stay in the Premier League. And I don't think there's a danger of going down. And I think Sullivan will take that gamble and keep him here. Yeah, 8 managed up to Redknapp, lost current account and many after. Yeah, it's just been manager City, isn't it? Potter's a sensible option. Yeah, honestly, I'm not going to turn my nose up at him. I'm just saying, Cockney Boy 76, that I don't know. I don't know the bloke. So because I don't know him, of course I'll give him a chance. Got to, ain't you? Like I gave Lopetegui a chance, and I'm reluctantly still going to give him a chance for 2 games. But to be honest, I've almost given up on it. Right? Do I think something's going to happen in those 2 games to change my mind and get me back on side? I don't know. Can't see it. I can't see it.
I can't see it. I can't see us getting. I honestly, I fear that we're not going to get anything out of both
today.
games.
Yeah, I lost a lot of hope today, Chris, sitting watching that. I just thought, what the fuck is going on in his head? That he's done that after that first half. He's done that.
Mate, I think you and everyone else, mate, you know.
Oh, my God. I'd rather a young Brazilian than an old injured German. Yeah, of course we would. Amarim on a progressive manager was the answer. But yeah, another lazy appointment. He didn't want to pay the money. He thought he'd be too expensive. There is this thing that I know about, that both Brady and Sullivan both think a football manager should be an older gentleman. Yeah. I don't know why. Because that ain't the trend amongst all of the other clubs. So why do they think they know better? Why do they think they have to go for some old fucking cart horse every time? Not that I'm saying the cart horse yet, but 2 games time I might. La Spanish cart horse. What's Spanish for cart horse? Someone will know. At least Silver can speak English. Yeah, he's very articulate and also a very intelligent tactician. You know, and you give him quality players, he'll produce a quality team. Oh God, don't say that, James. That's nasty. It's nasty, very nasty. Silver wanted a job. Yeah, and apparently he was always it was agreed that he was coming in, and then Sullivan bottled it and decided to keep Moyes because he'd won a trophy. Had we not won that trophy, he was out and Silver was in. But Sullivan swallowed it because how can you sign our most successful manager? How can you get rid of our most successful yet boring and tedious manager, arrogant prick for the for the last X amount of years? You know, what about the Bournemouth manager? Yes, please, Andy. Yes, please. Is he offering? Does he want to come? Frank's football is boring. Yeah, but it might be boring, but it's very, very, very effective, and he scores
I
goals
don't
as
think
well.
it's that boring at all.
He scores goals well. It ain't Moyes ball. Let me tell you that. It ain't Moyes ball, Michael. It's a little bit long ball, but I don't really care. I can cope with that. J-Lo thinks we should be all grateful. Well, you know, I don't know whether he thinks that or whether it's probably what what's his name will say, Guillaume Balaguer.
He can't be thinking that now. I'm sorry, he can't be thinking that now. He must know that we're fucking pissed off with these performances, right? If he thinks that, then he's even more deluded than we all thought, you know.
Right, and just woke up in Miami to the news that we got our bums touched. Yeah, got more than touched, Ryan. Got pummeled. Potter is damaged from Chelsea. Could be a big. Yeah, that's my concern. But then again, I don't really know what went on at Chelsea. I do know that he had the most enormous set of players. He had so many that there weren't enough seats in the changing room, and some of the players had to sit on the floor. Right, and all of them, that mad American was buying random players and asking him to use them. They were all costing a fortune. They were on like eight-year contracts. These guys, right? So literally, the manager had no say over them whatsoever. And compared to who he managed at Brighton, also there is this thing about with Brighton, he was just the operator of the machine, right?
Yeah.
He came in and operated the standard machine for a while, like every manager who goes to Brighton does, which is how our system should work. If Potter comes in, we're not playing the style of the director of football, right? This is not the same style as Leverkusen, right? This is the Lopetegui style. Lopetegui has come in to play the Lopetegui style of football. That is not the model that we expected. We expected director of football set the model, coach comes in, delivers the model using the players that director of football has recruited. But no, half of that is true. The manager gets some of the players he wants, director of football gets some of the players he wants, and the manager plays his own fucking style. Right? Something there don't feel right to me. Don't smell right.
I'll tell you, Sam. With regards to Potter, no one's touching with a barge pole in 2 years now, right? I'm sorry. Why
Usual
should
suspect supports Man City now, Chris. How can that happen? Usual suspect. I'll say I don't say this very often. Give your head a wobble immediately, and wash your mouth out with soap while you're at. Southgate's available. Yes, he is. I hope he stays available. I've got this feeling we're in a relegation battle. Not yet, but I think if he stays, we might be. When the Sevilla side came to us, I thought they were usually impressive possession. Yes, they were. But we're seeing none at the start. No, we're not. Because I don't think the players are on his side, to be honest. I think he's lost half of that dressing room already. And, you know, hearing a few bits coming out of players' mouths, to be honest, and stuff that really shouldn't be said about the manager. And it's extremely worrying from some extremely experienced players as well. Max Cornet syndrome, yeah. Phil Kruger's and Marco Buger's not yet. He ain't, but he does have a caravan in the suburb of Frankfurt, apparently. Maybe not. So,
mind you, Marco Buger's didn't cost fucking 20 whatever million, did he?
He was quite expensive though, wasn't he?
He cost $1 million back in 95, 96.
That was expensive back then, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, but it weren't the equivalent of fucking 27 million or whatever it is we paid for Fulkrug, you know.
Yeah, I don't think Beelzebub is ever going to pop his clogs. I think he can live forever. Julian Faubert had a similar injury to Fulkrug. Now, that was a ruptured Achilles, not tendonitis. A ruptured Achilles is a very, very serious injury. We actually had a great player there in Julian Faubert, believe it or not. No, ruptured Achilles is like that's career. That used to be career ending, right? Krug reminds me of when we signed Florin Radichoya with Harvey Nichols, another international star. Started about 3 games. Yeah, I felt sorry for him actually.
You know what though? You can. I don't agree with that because first of all, Florian Radicchio, he wasn't a physical player, right? I think
No, he
Fulkrug
wasn't. No.
actually is. They're very different types of strikers there. I mean, you can compare them in terms of how effective they've been or productive they've been for West Ham. That's a fair point. But you know what? Fulkrug hasn't had he's not been fit to actually play yet, so it's hard to judge him yet. I think it's just not fair.
So Hammer 84. I ain't got a fucking clue if you're right about that or not. I mean, that would be for me just guessing how good a manager who's never managed in the English league, how he might be. I don't know. He speaks a lot of languages. He supports West Ham.
Who, Warburton?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he was managing QPR in the Championship. He's managed plenty of teams, but
not in the Premier League, though. Not in the Premier League.
Not in the Premier League. But why the fuck would we be considering him?
No, hang on. Who am I confusing him with? I'm confusing him with that guy in France.
Who?
The guy, the West Ham supporter in France.
Oh,
Warburton was Warburton bred. He was Moyes' number 2, wasn't he?
Yeah, and he had a fallout with Moyes because he didn't agree with the style of football that Moyes was playing.
Who's the young ginger bloke that we were looking at?
Will
Still, that's him.
Yeah.
Will Still, yeah. I was unsure about him. I'm even more unsure about Mark Warburton, who takes players onto the trading floor of an investment bank to show them what hard work is all about. Oh, fuck off, mate. Right. 1-1 should have had the back four in the second half. Absolutely, 100%. At least for 10-15 minutes, and let the second half get into its pattern of play. Don't just abandon it from the kickoff. I've never seen anything so idiotic. Well, I have actually. I went to Chelsea away last year. That was worse. Only just. In fact, it was quite similar to Chelsea away in many ways. They did look like they could just score at will at one point. Fulkrug had 3 years off injured in a career lasting 8 years. Shrewd manoeuvre. Was it 3 years for that long injury? I thought it was. He
was out for a spell. I mean, I said this at the start of the season. I was worried about it, but he's only really been fit for the last 2 seasons. Prior to that, he was out for a long time. He was.
See, this just strikes me, this deal. Now I look at it and I see what we've actually got. And I don't even know what we've got yet, but what I assume we've got, which is a non-functional player, a 31-year-old non-functional player for 27 million, doesn't strike me as the deal that's being touted in the press is the actual deal we've done. You know what I mean? Or there were some quite vested interests in there.
Well, mate, this is why all of our deals are always undisclosed. Every fucking one of them are undisclosed, aren't they?
Yeah, there's something weird going on with this deal. It ain't all it seems, I'm telling you. We had the Gypsy Curse and signing forwards. Well, yeah. I wonder what happened. Who was the last? We had this conversation last week. Let's not go back down that rabbit hole. Good night, Black Country. Right. But look, anyway, this has been, quite, how can I say? It's always nice to talk about football, even when you get. I
don't know. Do you know what, Gal? Usually when we do this, I don't feel any better.
Yeah, I don't feel any better. Handmaid's Tale, cheer us up. Is Handmaid's Tale? Is it on again? Is a new series on? Let me know. Yeah, that would probably cheer me up. I'd probably prefer to watch that than West Ham away at Spurs. Yeah. But anyway, look, sorry I've missed a load of your comments. I've had me mind elsewhere tonight, as we all.
I think you've gone for a lot, mate.
Yeah,
I think you've gone for a lot of comments.
Yeah, I know. Thinking the manager we could have got for 27 million. Yeah, you go, Amarin. Would have cost less than 27 million. Probably none of this players as well.
Gary, none of this tonight. This usually I feel better after we've had these, but I'm still really fucked off. I just can't get it out of my head. I usually feel all right after this. I feel worse. It's not cathartic. I don't think this has been cathartic for me at all, actually. Usually it is, but
that's why I was struggling to find a word there, Chris, because I don't actually feel better at all for the first time. No.
If anything, I'm starting to feel more pissed off the more I think about it. I just can't.
Yeah, I think so. Amazing how quick we got the manager out again. It ain't happening when we are constantly at the bottom 3 relegate. Well, look, I mean, giving him 10 games, Upton Park, what do you want? You can give him to the end of the season if you like. We're going to end on a bit of a high anyway, because I think Dodgy is bound to be a little bit positive. He'll find a positive in the doom. So this is Dodgy, who went to the game today. So let's see what Dodgy had to say. Make sure I pick the right game.
Well, Gary, like I say, about 2 minutes of normal time to go. Obviously, there'll be extra time after the sending off of Kudus and everything. Thoughts on the match? 10 minutes of madness. 10 minutes of madness. Substitution should have been made a little bit earlier. I think half-time Antonio was blowing out his backside. So it's difficult. I say, at the stadium, Spurs fans not singing until obviously they go up and start winning and everything like that. Our fans were really good. The Black Balloon Protesting's good and loud as always and everything, but it is frustrating. The sending off from Kudus from where we were stood, which was right, it was right in front of us. I think it was handbags, if I'm honest, but like I say, if he hits him in the face, I suppose he's got to go. Disappointing, but like I say, Spurs fans not singing, our lot just went quiet, which we're bound to do. I thought Wan-Bissaka, man of the match, hands down. I know there'll be some criticism of our defence because, like I say, on the TV, I'm sure there's mistakes to be shown, but it's so disappointing when you don't beat these, isn't it? Like I say, on to Man United on Saturday. Hope this is all what you wanted. Cheers, buddy.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Wan-Bissaka, he weren't really a feature in the second half, was he? He weren't really a feature. He was.
First half.
I think he was great in the first half. Absolutely great. If he was talking about, if Dodgy was talking about that, but yeah, look, it's good to kind of hear what someone in the ground thinks. It was 10 minutes of madness. It was, but the manager did nothing about it, and it shouldn't have happened. That's the problem. It shouldn't have happened. It was just self-inflicted, and this is why I've really started to worry. I have been worried in certain other games like Chelsea, but this today, it really, really concerned me for, I won't say the first time, but it really, really concerned me. It just seemed fucking mad what we did. Really mad. I've got no explanation for it, right? With Chelsea, you think, he got the tactics wrong. Chelsea played well. We come unstuck. This, he got the tactics, I'd say, right in the first half. And then he thinks, no, that's not good. Let's revert back to the way we played against Chelsea and got torn apart, and Villa and City. Let's do that against every good team and let them tear us a new one.
So what's the fucking solution now then, Gal? Right, we've got two really important games coming up. Obviously, United, Forest. What do we do now? What do we do? How are we going to get this right? Obviously, fucking winning a game, playing good football, starters here. But what fundamentally needs to change for the next game against United next weekend?
Oh my God! I mean, I'm sick of saying it. To be honest, I'm really sick of saying it. I want to see dramatic improvement. Without Kudus, though, how's that going to happen? I mean, we're going to see. I suppose we're going to see. What's his name play on the left, aren't we?
Somerville. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I'd look at that as a plus, actually, if I'm being honest with you, because at least that means we've got a naturally left-sided winger, playing on the left-hand side. So I'm okay with that. I want to see him get a run of games.
Yeah. No, I agree. But I'd like to see Paqueta dropped, but I don't think he will drop him until, I think, between the Forest game and the game after that, he's got to go to Brazil, hasn't he, to face the music.
Just
so yeah, selection wise, I think that one is an enforced one. The other one is one he should do. I also think that he's got to put Alvarez back in the team. I just worry that him and Alvarez have completely fallen out. That's what I worry about. I think he's fallen out with quite a few players. And also going back to what we said at the top of the show, leadership. There's no leadership off the pitch. There is also no leadership on the pitch. And I think it's becoming a problem.
Yep.
The trouble is, once you make somebody club manager, club captain for a season, you can't unmake them club captain, can you?
No, you can't. But whoever's vice captain can also step up as well, right?
Who is vice captain? Do you know?
Fucking know, mate. I don't know. Who is? Who actually is vice captain? When you look at our lineup, when you look at our starting lineup, I mean, obviously when Cresswell's on the pitch, on those rare occasions, he usually gets the armband, doesn't he? If Bowen goes off. But who else is vice captain?
It could be Cresswell, I guess. But anyway, look, we need to inject some pace into midfield. Yeah, we do. I don't see where that's coming from. We don't have any. At least Somerville might get a start now. Yeah. Hopefully he will. Hopefully he'll take the ball by the horns and really do well. But is he fully motivated, Somerville, knowing that he's now a bench player? I'm sure that ain't what he thought when he signed for us. I'm sure he didn't think that. Souček's like, oh fuck me, really? Again, he's a like Bowen. Souček is a wholehearted, give it all player. Unlike Bowen's great. He's a little bit average, but how the fuck is he vice captain? He's not what you call vocal, is he?
No, he's not. And we hear him, or more to the point, we don't hear him on the pitch because I sit very close to the pitch. I don't.
Yeah, Rice, this is a good point from Mandy as well. Let's hope we don't get into a relegation battle. Yeah, fucking hell, let's hope we don't. It could be messy, right? It could be really messy. We need to put Soler in midfield with Alvarez, get the Brazilian kid on. I don't think he's playing the Brazilian kid unless we're playing the likes of Ipswich at home and we're winning easily. Then I think the Brazilian kid gets a.
He's not a
gets
striker,
kick.
though, is he? He's not a
No.
striker.
Think yourselves lucky I'm out with a Spurs fan tomorrow night. I'm sorry to hear that, Green Badge. I'm sorry to hear that. That is a desperate situation. Yeah. Oh, it says here, Cresswell is vice captain. Oh,
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Which is fucking ridiculous, really, considering we don't play. But
well, again, is that the sort of thing that's pissing off the troops, right? You know, because I'm pretty sure that the way Alvarez played last year and led on the pitch, that the players would have seen him as the obvious choice. I'm just guessing.
I don't know. Do you know what? I'm just fucking clueless with it all now, Gal. I really am. I just don't even know what to fucking say tonight.
I'm exasperated with it, Chris. I can't even think. Right, I can't even think.
There's just too many things going wrong here right now. It's like, where do you even fucking start? Where do you start?
Your boss is a spud. Oh, Bodger, sorry, mate.
Resign now, Bodger. Fuck that.
Hold on.
Resign.
We've got another vote. David Lodge reckons Alvarez is vice. Fucking, we've got 3 vice captains.
I've not seen that.
Yeah, Bowen needs to step up. I mean, Bowen needs to do what I like to see, even if it's not the ordering the team and organising the team, because that needs to be done from the middle of the pitch. He should be at least putting his face in front of the referee, and when there's a spat on the pitch, he should be the first one in line sorting it out. Right? He should be.
Well, is there any post-match interviews with Bowen this evening at all? I don't know.
I don't know.
Because there fucking should be, because he's captain of the club. I'm sorry, he should be. He should be up there in front of the camera.
As I says, not one youngster in around the squad. No, you're right. No, not one. Not one. All out on loan, apart from Casey, and he's not even. I don't think he was even on the bench, was he? Put Soler in goal. I think it might work actually. Alford, England under 19 captain, can't get a kick. England under 19 captain. That's pretty fucking good, isn't it? Can't even get on the bench for West Ham. No points out of the next 2. He should be gone. Well, I think no points out of the next 2. We lose at home to Man U and lose away to Forest. I think that's me done for. Right. Yeah. I think let's leave it there. Otherwise, we're going to just go down a misery spot.
One up. No, just put this one up here. What would you change in the midfield for the next game? Right, I can tell you straight off the bat what I would do. You know my back four, because I say it all the time, so that's kind of a given, right? We stick with the back four that we had today. But I think with regards to our midfield, for me, it's got to be Somerville going on the left-hand side, Bowen on the right-hand side. I'm dropping Paqueta. He's got to fucking go. And I'd most likely probably play Soler in midfield, probably with Souček at this moment in time. Honestly, that's probably what I would do.
Yes. And look at this. I mean, absolutely, George Murphy. Well, listen, we've got a lot of those players. We've got the other kid who's playing in, guy who's got a lot bigger. I forget his name. Skulls, isn't it? Playing midfield now. Do you know what? I hear what people are saying about some of our youngsters, right? But at the same time, a lot of these youngsters aren't starting for teams in the Championship either, right? So I think we don't want to rush them too much either. Oh no, I know, but the thing is, they could have played bit parts for us rather than play bit parts in the Championship, right?
Well, Potts, I would agree. That's a given, right? I think Earthy's been injured for spells, so he's not always been playing for Bristol too much. You know, people like Callum Marshall, I don't think Callum Marshall's up to scratch to play in the Premier League, if I'm being honest with you. You know, so I think we've got some good young players coming through, but I don't necessarily think that they should be being thrown into the first team at the moment. I don't. I think the only players you could probably call for coming into that squad, I think, would be Potts. You know, probably Potts. Who else would there be, honestly? Right now, who would you stick in the first 11 or on the bench? The only one that I'd probably stick on the bench and realistically get game time would be Potts. Honestly, it would be. I think Casey's not quite there yet in terms of his build, his physicality as a centre-half. And frankly speaking, we're not really that weak at centre-half right now, okay? So for me, I think really Potsy is the only one.
Yeah. Well, we do need a CDM with pace. You're right there.
We do. And he's got fucking legs as well, mate, Potts. Yeah. He's got legs. He's got more, you know, and that's the fucking engine room, right? And I think he could offer something there, potentially.
Yeah, this is a thing that still worries me. I know you say it's not a possibility, but I'll never rule it out as a possibility.
No, please don't end it on that.
I ain't even going to mention it. I don't want to depress you. I'm sorry. I know. Saw the game from corporate spuds from the halfway line. No different tactics from last year. Moyes 2.0. Well, first half anyway, before he fucking shit himself in the second half. Freddie Potts man of the match last 3 games for Pompey. All minutes too. Marshall scored. and that's 3 so far this season. Yeah, good loan deals. Right, I think at least Potts relegation battle, Pompey, Marshall and Potts decent loans. Yeah, look, let's leave it there. Enough. I think we've all had enough. I don't want to think about Spurs anymore. I just want to pretend it didn't happen. And yeah,
Do you know what?
get
Let
on
them
with
have
my
their
night.
cup final win, Gal. Let them have their cup final win. Let's just fucking move
Yeah.
on to the next game.
Exactly. Look, thank you everybody. Thanks for joining us in the chat. Lots of good comments, and yeah, it's a misery fest. Let's face it, but at least we've you know, it's a therapeutic way, even though it hasn't healed any of us. Right, I'm still miserable. Got to do it. But anyway, thank you all. See you soon, and come on, you irons.